Hello there, and welcome again to a live Instagram with Pulling Down the Moon Holistic Healthcare Center in Chicago, Illinois. I am Tami, Quinn, the co-founder. As many of you know, this is PCOS Awareness Week, and we are going to be doing some of our Mondays with special guests. Last week, perhaps you watched as we were with Regina Townsend, and this week we have another person we're going to go live with. I'm going to call her in here. Of Christine McDonough from the Infertility Illustrated page. Hey, Christine, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome. So I'm really excited to talk to you because A, you have great stories, and B, you're really talented. So that's like a good combination right there. So for all of you that are out there, Infertility Illustrated is the handle. You have to go check it out. And one of the first things I want to ask you, Christine, is to tell us a little bit about your story, your journey, and you being a PCOS warrior.
Yeah, so I've probably had PCOS. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, hear you great.
Okay, good. I've probably had PCOS for a really long time. I probably wasn't officially diagnosed with it until about 4 years ago when we kind of, were trying to get pregnant and couldn't. Basically, went to the doctor. They said it was textbook PCOS. My periods always have been kind of irregular, so it's always been like a little bit of a battle there, but we've been trying for about 4 years. They, made it sound really simple. We'll take a pill and go from there. So we did 4 rounds of letrozole. The first two, nothing happened. The third one was a pretty bad ectopic, had to have a tube removed. The fourth one was also ectopic and took a shot. Since then, we've done two rounds of shots, one IUI, one just timed, and then we did IVF, which ended in pretty bad OHSS, which is pretty normal, I think, for PCOS.
And if people don't know what that is, it's ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. So something that really needs to be monitored quite closely. So that's pretty scary too.
Yeah, they said my ovaries were about 12 inches each, like larger than grapefruits, and I looked like I was 6 months pregnant. It was pretty intense. And then
fun times.
Yeah, really, really fun. It was scary. But yeah, then we did one frozen cycle and nothing happened. And then we did one more and that worked, but it ended in miscarriage. So we're just getting ready to start our we took a year off after that because that was kind of a bummer. So we're just getting ready to start our next cycle now.
Oh my gosh. So I want to know, you've obviously had a very long journey, a challenging journey. What was it like taking a year off? And would you recommend taking a year off from fertility treatments? Because a lot of people out there, I almost feel like it becomes, like a gambling game where you just can't quit because you feel like you might just be so close and you don't want to lose an opportunity. And so talk to us a little bit about what that year was like that you took off.
Yeah. And I needed that year. I've taken like mini breaks here and there throughout all of our cycles, a couple after my second ectopic. I think I took about 4 or 5 months off after that. And after this last miscarriage, I took a year off because first of all, I just felt like I needed some time to come down from all the hormones. You're on so many hormones, and after a miscarriage like that, it just takes you to like a dark place, at least for me. So I needed at least a few months to come off from there. And then, it just kind of feels good to like not be on that infertility clock, for a little while. So I definitely recommend it just because you can kind of get back to living like almost like a normal life, for a little while without, thinking about your next cycle, thinking about how you can't do something because something else is going to be happening, or, you've got to time your activities because you have to get a shot, things like that. So for me, it was really helpful. It brought me down to a good place where I can be around my friends' babies and not want to kill myself because
Totally get that.
because I'm like sad or something, you know? So for me, it
Totally
was nice.
understand. And you know what? I have a confession to make, which is that when I was going through infertility, I took a couple months off as well, and I went to Vegas. And I
Yeah.
mean, I just like ripped it up. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Went with some girlfriends and, you know, hit the casinos, hit the shows, you know, hit the late night bar scene. And it was weird because I think you go through fertility constantly feeling deprived. And so when you take that time off, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm a human being again. You know, like I had a
Yeah.
glass of wine and, you know, I stayed out late and I drank coffee, you know, like all those things that you sort of give up when you're trying to have a baby. So sometimes I think it feels good, right?
Yeah, I could do normal things again. We took a trip to Chile and it was awesome. It was just like something that, you know, we hadn't been able to do, or we hadn't been able to travel really at all the past like 2, 3 years prior because we were constantly cycling. So it was nice to
Right.
have a little time.
So, tell us a little bit about because one of the things we learned last week and we want to continue to educate our viewers on is that PCOS can manifest in so many different ways, in so many different body types. And we are curious to know, Christine, what were your symptoms or what, you know, what do they continue to be?
Yeah, so I'm like Mediterranean heritage. So I've always had hair, lots and lots of hair. Although, I've got two sisters and they don't have nearly the hair issues that I do. So I think, I didn't ever realize that that was a symptom of PCOS. But I would go to like my endocrinologist, just a regular endocrinologist, because I have some like pituitary related issues as well. And so I would go to them and I'd say, I've got like all this excess like hair growth and stuff. My periods are so irregular. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Like, does this have to do with that? What is this? And they would be like, oh, it might be something like PCOS related. We're not really sure. It probably is, but whatever. No, like they didn't really care.
That's hard. I think, when you go to your doctor and you get sort of no diagnosis and I think what we're learning is that a lot of patients go to their doctors and they sort of mention like, hey, do you think I have PCOS? And they're like,
Well,
you're
they're
not
just like,
sure. Yeah.
they're like, you don't have to worry about that. They would tell me you don't have to worry about that till like you're trying to get pregnant. And at the time, I wasn't really trying to get pregnant. So it was just a phrase thrown out like PCOS. Okay, whatever that is, that's what I have potentially. And I'll deal with that later. No one would do anything or treat it.
And I think that what you brought up is really important too, because we've been talking, like when you're a young girl and you have excess hair, or you have acne, or you don't have your period, or your period lasts 2 months, or you can't lose weight. There's so many different things that can be symptoms of PCOS.
Yeah.
And how great would it be if we could educate, like all you moms out there that are listening who have young daughters, and all of you that will someday be a mom, how important it is to make sure that these things are on your radar, so that you can have interventions earlier instead of later when, people are already going through the infertility process, which gets frustrating. Then you got to manage not only the infertility, but the symptoms and try to cure your PCOS. So it becomes really
Yeah. If this had been kind of more taught to me a lot younger, I think I would have definitely been a lot more conscious about what I was eating, stuff like that. In college, you're kind of doing whatever. And if I'd known that I was one like at high risk for this, if I had known that this was something that could happen, I probably would have been a lot more conscious about it. I would have made more diet changes. I would have been conscious about eating a lot less, all the things that I'm doing now. I
right.
think, or I'd like to think that when I was younger, I would have done as well.
Right. So I have Sarah loves, let me just pin her comment here. Sarah loves Peter says, I think my mom had PCOS too, but never realized it wasn't normal. And I think we're hearing that, from a lot of different people saying, yeah, it's really funny. My grandmother had facial hair, or my mother used to shave, and we just thought it was normal. And so now I've inherited that. So thank you for
Yeah.
that message. And I'm betting, a lot of women with PCOS sort of normalize these symptoms to that point because they're just part of the family heritage.
Yeah. I mean, again, I have two sisters, and I mean, granted, my younger sister's not exactly trying to get pregnant, so who knows? Maybe she could end up having it as well. My older sister just had a baby. They thought maybe she might have had a mild version of it, and maybe she was able to do enough that it didn't really manifest itself that much. So who knows? I mean, I'm one of five kids, so my mom had no problems getting pregnant or having kids. My guess would be maybe it's from my dad's side. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
all I know is I started like waxing my lip when I was in sixth or seventh grade, which is
And you're
crazy.
like, I'm Italian. I'm supposed to be that way. Right?
MVD. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Totally understand that. So, what have you found? And so obviously, Pulling Down the Moon is a holistic company. So, we believe
Hmm.
largely in like the whole diet and exercise should be the first intervention to help manage the symptoms of PCOS. Tell us what you've done both holistically and medically to help your symptoms.
Sorry, my camera keeps getting dark. Yeah, well, I mean, I've done acupuncture. I think acupuncture is great, and herbs, kind of as part of that package. I think maybe that's helped. My doctors had me take inositol, or yeah, inositol. So I've taken that. And then I've used Pulling Down the Moon. I've gone and used your nutritional services, which has been great because, I've struggled with, I feel like I'm eating the right foods, but I'm still not necessarily losing any weight. Like, what else should I be doing? And I found your nutritional services really helpful. So, like, things like that. I mean, being conscious about what I eat, taking the right supplements, things like that. And then yoga. I mean, I love yoga. So I'm always doing that, just if only for peace of mind.
Yeah, we love yoga too. And I pinned another comment here from Val Torres 93. My mom had PCOS, and she was the first one in my family to tell me, hey, mention it to your doctor. And she was the one to point me in the right direction. So, yay, mom. And I hope,
I know.
Val, that it's working out and that mom set you on the right track. So kudos to mom there, huh? So, Christine, have you been hearing at all anything about Carrie Underwood's beautiful interviews over the weekend about her
Yeah.
losses in 2017?
Yeah, I saw that. She had three, and that's awful. It's so sad.
Exactly. And so one of the things that struck me and how I want to sort of bring it back to you is that she went into the studio and started writing and really used writing and music as her therapy to help her deal with this tremendous loss that she was experiencing. And it made me think about you because I'm wondering, do you use illustrations similarly as sort of your own self therapy to help you deal with what you're going through?
Oh, definitely. After this most recent miscarriage, I needed an outlet, and I even flipped back to a journal I was keeping at the time, and I was like, I wish I had some sort of outlet for like all this pain and sadness that I'm feeling. So I just kind of started drawing, and it was really cathartic. It was great, when something's frustrating me or something's bothering me, I just put pencil to paper and, you know, post it post it
and you
out
get to,
there.
and you get to work on it. Well, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
again, if people need to see your page, because you really have a lot of talent. And I think a lot of women who visit are going to go, oh my gosh, I feel the exact same way, or she hit this nail on the head. So how do you find inspiration for your illustrations?
It's whatever I'm either going through or thinking about at the time, This month being PCOS Awareness Month, I've just been thinking a lot about PCOS because it's not something I necessarily talk about with my friends, and it's not something that kind of gets talked about that much at all. So, this past month, I've just been focusing a lot of my drawings on PCOS, thinking about all the things that frustrate me and all the things I want people to be aware of. So, excess hair, facial hair growth, things like that. Every time you go to any, esthetician and they say, hey, have you ever considered laser? So, drawings like that. How there's so many versions of birth control out there, but there's not something that you can regularly take, for an extended period of time to help you with ovulation.
Right. And I have, I love this handle. One Plump Egg is saying, can you share her handle? So go ahead, Christine, and share your handle for everybody.
Yeah. Do I just type it in the comments?
Your handle is at Infertility Illustrated.
Yes, at infertilityillustrated.com. I'm going to type it in here.
Perfect. So Infertility Illustrated is her Instagram page. So now, Christine, I'm going to totally put you on the spot.
Yeah.
There you go. There's her handle, if you guys can see it. So I'm going to put you on the spot because we have sort of themed this PCOS Instagram Live series on PCOS Women Warriors. And we also talked a little bit, you just said that you love yoga. And as you know, one yoga pose, well, actually there's several yoga poses called Warrior. There's Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3. And I'm wondering, can you draw for us live right now? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but can you sort of bring to life this idea of a PCOS yoga warrior or, warrior?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is going to be tricky. I've never done this kind of like videotaping as I draw. We'll see if it works.
Okay.
You guys see this piece of paper? Okay.
I see it. Yeah, we see it.
All right. So what pose should we do?
Why don't we do, well, I don't know, Warrior 1, 2, or 3. Well, I love Warrior.
You know what?
Go ahead.
This is what I think of when I think of like PCOS warriors, someone like, is this Warrior 3? I should know. Yeah, this is Warrior 3.
Pull the camera up just a tad bit.
There you go.
So much better. That's better.
Yeah. So this is, we'll see if we can get this in. So this is like if I was drawing, for Instagram or for myself right now, I would kind of do something like this. So I start with a pencil sketch, kind of a short person, but that's okay because I'm doing it here live.
Okay, first of all, I'm watching how you do this and I'm going, oh, that's how you draw a person. Because, I know fingers,
yeah,
so I'm already impressed.
Learning how to draw.
Exactly. And while you're doing that, I also just want to make mention that tomorrow, Pulling Down the Moon is going to have a webinar. It's free, called Lifestyle Hacks for PCOS. And we are going to have our registered dietitian, Margaret Ike, on board with us for that. And also Dr. Alvarez from Fertility Centers of Illinois is going to join the conversation. So that's tomorrow, Tuesday, at 6 p.m. Central Time. And you can hit our website to learn more about it at pullingdownthemoon.com or give us a call at our center. And our number will be also on our website. So you are just fast at work here. I mean, how long do you spend doing
We'll make this a quick sketch. I mean, a drawing, I'll spend anywhere from a couple hours to, 15, 20 minutes. It just kind of depends on how like it all comes together, So this one we're obviously doing really quick, and like maybe I'll add some pen to this after the fact. And I'm not like, necessarily taking that much time to really make sure I'm getting the form right per se, but I'll spend anywhere from like a couple hours to a couple of minutes just drawing something.
Well, I think it looks amazing. And when you're finished with filling in however you want to finish it, we'd love to post it and make it sort of a special Pulling Down the Moon Infertility Illustrated post.
Well, you know what? Afterward, what I'll probably do is what I usually do after I do any kind of post is I trace over it with marker paper. So that kind of helps me get like a cleaner line for the drawing. So we'll kind of start with this, and then I'll finish it probably off so that we can make it look like a little bit tighter, a little bit cleaner. But yeah, this will be like our PCOS yoga warrior for the day.
I love it. That's awesome. So I also just
Yeah.
want to encourage, if anybody has any questions out there about PCOS for Christine, or about, using artist therapy, or any sort of holistic therapy, please feel free to drop a comment, and we're happy to answer your questions. And I see some heart faces with heart eyes. People are loving what you're doing, Christine. So I think we all recognize there's talent on the camera here. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Any
well, this is
tips
my
on
first time doing this.
Awesome. Any tips on lower testosterone? So I'll just make a caveat here. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on Instagram. So lowering testosterone, I can just say this, that there is a lot of research on how diet and exercise can help manage the hormone irregularities, including excess androgens with women who have PCOS. So I would say that if you have access to a nutritionist who specializes in PCOS, certainly at Pulling Down the Moon, we have someone that does Skype calls. So if you're not local to Chicago, you can set up a call that way. But there is such a thing as sort of a PCOS diet that you should really think about and look into, as well as fertility friendly exercises. And certainly yoga is one of them, brisk walking, moderate swimming. But we're just sort of big on being active and just getting out there. And certainly don't need to be running marathons, but definitely just being active. And we got some thank yous here, Christine. So
we'll sign it. Should we be thinking something?
Yes, what should we think? All right, comment if you have a thought for our PCOS warrior here. Anybody have any thoughts on what she should be thinking? Other than, damn, this sucks?
Other than, how about just like FPCOS?
Yes, FPCOS. I love it.
That is just, she is totally zenned out.
She is.
What I would usually do afterward is just like erase all the pencil.
And you know what I love about FPCOS? Beth Haller, my business partner, did sort of a blog about being Rambo. Like when you're going through infertility or PCOS, there's a part of you that just has to be like Rambo through it. Like, dang, I'm going to do this. I can do it. I can be strong. I can, weather this storm and get the tools out of my belt to tackle it. So I love that. It's really strong.
Yeah, you just got to kind of fight through it. You just have to keep going. I mean, there's no cure, so you just have to manage it.
Exactly. And Diana Zick, who is actually a Pulling Down the Moon fertility yoga teacher, she likes the caption, "I am strong." That's another good one.
Okay, well, I already wrote FPCOS, but maybe in the final I'll do "I am strong." I'll write that down.
I like them both, but I like FPCOS a whole lot. I'm just irreverent. That's why, though. And then somebody else said on a teal yoga mat. So I think now we have color preferences too, I think, which is pretty awesome.
All right, well, I'll add in some color then, definitely.